Hey everyone, it is Willow. Today we are going to be learning how to get your power back, how to gain control over every area of your life, and we're going to do that by learning the art of detachment. A lot of the times when you hear people talk about detachment, you think about this like surface level of like, oh, I don't care. But that's not the case. Detachment is actually just removing your emotional attachment to a desired outcome. So you're kind of just like, it is what it is. I don't feel any type of emotion towards either way. I'm okay if it does happen. I'm okay if it doesn't. Why is detachment so powerful? It's powerful because it helps you gain your control back. It has you so rooted in faith that you know if something doesn't work out in the way that you want it to, it's because it's in your favor. Having this mentality is the most powerful thing that you can have because you again just go through life and you flow. You're not like, oh, I need it to be like this or I need it to be like this. You kind of are like, I know everything is working out in my favor. I know whichever direction I'm working in, the Lord is protecting and providing for me. And at the end of the day, my faith is rooted in Him. So I can detach from whatever is physically here and whatever is currently happening and know that I'm always going to be on the right path and in the right direction as long as I remain faithful and walk with the Lord. I want to talk about the 3 layers to detachment. So the first one is emotional regulation. This is how well you manage your emotion during certain situations. You often learn this a lot through therapy. I am a huge therapy advocate because you can learn how to regulate your emotions and how to handle and manage your emotions when you're in certain situations, social situations, waiting for an outcome, whatever the case is. But that emotional regulation is very, very important on knowing how to do it. The second one is cognitive diffusion. So this is when you're able to see your thoughts as just thoughts. You're not like, oh, my thoughts need to be acted upon. And when you do have this separation, it creates that flexibility of like the self versus like your cognitive. What really helps with this is actually meditation, being able to meditate and allow your thoughts to just pass through and recognize them as just thoughts and not actually who you are. And then the third one is attachment theory, how emotional bonds shape personality, regulation, and relationships throughout your life. You can learn so much about yourself when you figure out what type of attachment style you have, especially because attachment styles are developed during our early caregiver years, like literally between the ages of 0 and 3. And when you start to learn how you are attached to people, environments, whatever the case is, it is so much easier to do a lot more healing that way. In order for you to reach those 3 pillars, right, and actually remain in that range, you need to take the actual steps on learning how to detach. So I'm going to show you guys, and well, not show you guys, but I'm going to tell you guys some of the ways that you can do that and what are the steps it takes in order for you to actually be in that space of emotional regulation, understanding yourself, and also having that secure attachment. The first one is separating your desires from your identity. You can want something, that is completely fine, but when you feel like you need it because it defines who you are, that's when it becomes a problem. So that looks like making the mental shift from, yeah, I want this job, but even if I don't get this job, it doesn't define who I am. It doesn't dismiss my skills, my value of myself, the value of who I am to other people. Whatever the case is, all the hard work that I've done, it doesn't define who I am because I'm still who I am, even if I don't have that job position or I'm not underneath that job title. Number 2, the second step to take is to actually sit with the discomfort. Now, I know you hear this often and you're probably like, I hate doing this because this was probably the worst thing for me, was sitting in the discomfort of like, dang, I really want this and I really want it so bad that I want to chase after it, but I know that at the end of the day it is best if I just sit here and sit in the discomfort and in the anxiousness and all of the awful emotions that you feel when you genuinely do want something and you just am not able to obtain it. The more that you sit with yourself, the easier that it will become because you've already mastered that like disgusting feeling of you wanting to chase. that desire to chase is so like heavy. It's hard, it's heavy, it's urgent. And what actually happens when that desire does kick in, you know, you want to check on things, you want to grasp control, you want to text that person, and you're like, I'm just gonna do it because that's what that uncomfortableness is. The moment that you feel that uncomfortableness, that's what your brain automatically thinks that you should do, because again, you're trying to chase after it, you're trying to grasp it because you feel safer with that thing, whether it's a person, place, or thing, and rather than you feel being by yourself, which is what you're trying to get your body to regulate with and to be okay with, that like, hey, even without this, I'm perfectly fine, I'm still me, and I'm doing great and I'm safe. The same dopamine loop that actually creates cravings and habits is what is happening when you're sitting with that discomfort. Out of habit, you want to try to gain the control back, you want to try to grasp onto that thing as tight as possible because you don't want to lose it. So that's when you chase after, that's when you try to check on certain things, or you try to repair in order for it to still be safe and for it to be fixed in a way. So the third one is going to be stop hyper focusing on it. Now, for my people who have rumination thoughts, I am so sorry because I feel you. Sometimes it is so impossible to like just get your brain to quiet down. But this is where I would say sometimes distraction does help a little bit. Like when you can put on a show or put on something in the background, put on, I don't know, like music, worship it out, go into prayer, do what you have to do to not hyper focus on whatever it is that you're trying not to chase after. And the reason for that being is because whatever you mentally focus on more, it's going to just get bigger and stronger in your mental. Your brain does not know the difference between reality and what is fake. So it's going to think that like, okay, yeah, we need to keep feeding this loop. We need to keep feeding this dopamine loop. We need to keep having these habits and behaviors in order for us to feel safe. And in order for you to try to break out of that, it's going to require you to not pry into so much or spend like all day like, oh my gosh, checking your email, or, you know, just doing little habits that would show signs that you are putting a lot of your attention and energy into it. But what you can do instead is bring your energy back to yourself. So start focusing on your routine, start focusing on your day-to-day and the things that you love and pouring into yourself. Start working on yourself on a whole new level than you were before, and all that time and energy that you do spend wanting to hyper focus on it, do something that will pour into yourself instead. Number 4 is actually probably the hardest part, but it's to be okay with uncertainty. You have to know that I don't know what's going to happen and I'm okay with that. Again, that same mentality as to like whatever does happen is always in the best of my interest is always going to help at this time, because it's true, life is uncertain. You're never gonna know what tomorrow brings, as the Bible always says. So it is important for you to just kind of be okay with that uncertainty. It's gonna stick with you throughout your whole entire life. You might as well find a way now to kind of live with it rather than trying to avoid it or manipulate situations so that they can go in your favor. At the end of the day, you are forever, ever going to be safe within yourself. Do not think that you need any external source or person, environment, thing, name, title in order for you to be safe and in order for you to actually be the best version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only source that you need is the Lord, in the name of Jesus. He is the provider. He's the one that is going to be with you at all times. Definitely will feel rough and it will be hard, and this is not me invalidating your feelings whatsoever, because you genuinely are going to be experiencing real and raw emotions, but to know that there will be a day where you feel safe again is one of the best things that could help you keep going, or to keep striving for the fact that it's like you have the power and the control. Don't let whatever you think you may want have that control over you, because it may not even be for you. It may have never ever been really for you. There are deeper things that you can do. Again, I always say that one of the most helpful things in learning how to detach that helped me a lot was definitely like really just focusing on myself and what I truly wanted for myself. Like I created a whole dream version of my life and I'm like, okay, what do I want in this life? And I just started doing a whole bunch of things that would pour into that. And also sharpening skills and habits, amazing thing to do because it not only keeps you busy, but it keeps you in a place of continuously pouring into yourself, your spirit, your mind, and your body. And then also like therapy, talking to your friends, even meditation, how I spoke about earlier, of course, but even like going to the gym has helped me so much, like exercising and actually moving that fascia and getting all of the emotions out of you. Journaling is a big one. I love journaling. I know that she can be time consuming and sometimes you're like, I do not want to sit down and listen to my thoughts on paper, but it's a great way to get it out. I was actually talking to a friend this morning and it was so funny because I had intentions of filming this video, but I was telling them about the string theory and how when you have one string and they have another string, because they questioned, they were like, how come every single time I finally get to a point where I'm like, I do not want this anymore, then all of a sudden it comes back. It comes flying back at me and it's like open door, like ready for me to jump into the invitation. And I was laughing because I was like, that is exactly what happens when you learn how to detach from something. It usually always comes back, and it may come back in a different form. It may come back through signs. It may come back in a way that's like, this opportunity is now presenting itself in a different way or in the same way, and it's now up to you to make that decision if you want to take it or not. When you have a string and you're holding it on one end and somebody's holding it on another end and you guys are both pulling it tight, it's like going to keep this tension on the string. But the moment like that you keep trying to like move forward, they're gonna move back because they're like, okay, what's going on with the tension, right? And the more that you pull back this way, they're going to pull this way because they're trying to keep that tension. Now, when you drop the string, right, because you're like detaching, you're like, okay, I'm over this. Like, I'm done, like, trying to meet you halfway. I'm done, what's going on. You drop this string, and then all of a sudden, the person doesn't feel the tug anymore. So they're like, what the heck? What just happened? And they go after the string to try to figure out like what happened. How come you're not holding the other end of the string? I looked at this in a form of energy, how energy never dies, but it always transforms into something new or into a different, state of being. And when somebody breaks a loop or breaks a cycle, right? Like that dopamine loop I was talking about typically happens when you are so attached to something. It's like you go through these certain steps and behaviors that your mind and your body, your nervous system are so used to doing because it's that dopamine loop. The moment you break that dopamine loop, it is now, that energy is now taking on a new form. So that's why it feels so foreign and you're like, what the heck is going on? But it's creating a new dynamic. So people, like as human beings, us naturally, we are interested in new dynamics and new forms. And as energy never dies, frequencies also pair. So it's like, as soon as you start to let go of the string, whatever it was that you were holding so tightly on now comes flying at you because they're like, oh, what happened to the energy that was being transmuted this way? I still want that energy. So now it comes flying at you. That's why people always say, like, when you meditate or like when you're, what is it called? Manifesting, they're like, oh yeah, just manifest and then stop thinking about it for a while. And you're like, what the heck? And then it always ends up happening because it's like you're no longer attaching yourself to the outcome of how it's going to happen or where it's going to happen. And you're kind of subconsciously like detached, but you're still working towards it. And then eventually it just comes flying at you at a straight point because you're not like overly stressed or like flying energy at it. You're calling the energy in. Of course, when your behavior changes, your energy is also going to change, and it's going to change for the better. You are going to glow up. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You're going to attract new and better experiences, things, people, environments. But yeah, that's today's video. I wanted to talk a little bit about mastering the art of detachment. Of course, in some later videos, I will go deeper into some of the other areas just because I feel like there's just so much to learn with the art of detachment, and it's definitely something I'm still learning, but I was in a better place. I'm in a better place now than I definitely was previously. And when I was going through it, I was like, this sucks. This is awful. But there's a reason that things don't necessarily always happen the way that you expect them to, and it's always for the good and glory, greater good of the Lord and for yourself, especially because if it's not within the Lord's will for you, it will not be done. And that is something that you should already be okay with, and if you aren't, start there. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in another one. Bye.